I met Kara at a veterans fundraiser in Dallas back in 2019. I wasn't supposed to be there. A buddy dragged me along, said I needed to see some life again after burning out in training rotations. I was 3 years out of active service, working full-time as a tactical instructor for private military contractors, still on eggs most days, still woke up checking corners. But Kara, she walked in like gravity worked differently around her. She wasn't the flashiest woman in the room, but she had a presence, polished, confident, the kind of woman who looked you straight in the eye when she asked a question. She worked PR for some corporate event group, knew how to work a room without making it feel fake. But that night with me, it didn't feel like a pitch. It felt real. She bought me a drink, which caught me off guard. Said she liked my boots. They look like they've been places, she smiled. They have, I told her. Some of them I don't want to go back to. She didn't flinch, just nodded, like she understood. We talked until the bar lights came up. She gave me her number on the back of a napkin, old school, and wrote, "Don't wait too long," underneath. I didn't. We had coffee the next morning. That turned into dinner. That turned into 5 years of what I thought was the closest thing to peace I'd ever known. Kara wasn't clinging. She was independent as hell. Worked long hours, traveled often. She had her own apartment the first year, then moved into my house just outside Fort Worth when things got serious. We split bills, cooked together, built routines. Sundays were for beer and football. Friday nights she'd drag me to overpriced restaurants with weird lighting and say things like, "You look sexy when you pretend to hate this place." She knew how to deal with my mood swings, with my silence, with the nights I couldn't sleep because something in my head wouldn't shut off. She never pushed, just stayed close, let me work through it without pressure. That meant more to me than any therapy session ever had. I wasn't planning on marrying again. My first marriage, straight out of boot camp, burned to the ground before I even deployed the first time. But Kara was different. She wasn't scared of the dark parts of me. Or so I thought. Looking back, there were so many little moments I held on to, like proof. Her hands in my hair when I'd sit on the edge of the bed staring at the floor. The way she'd fall asleep on my chest during long flights. The time she flew to Arizona for one night just to surprise me after a 3-week training camp. I thought we were solid. I thought she was proud of me, of what I'd been through, of the way I had fought to be normal again. We had a rhythm, a home, shared passwords, shared playlists. She even framed one of my deployment photos and kept it on her desk. She used to say, "There's no one on earth I trust more than you." And I believed her. Every word. Every look. Until the night I reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a plastic hotel keycard she swore she never used. It didn't happen all at once. That's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't walk through the front door kicking down walls. It creeps in quietly, slipping between the cracks of everyday life, until one day you realize you're sleeping next to a stranger. The first shift was subtle. I chalked it up to stress. She had just landed a big client, some national real estate group doing high-end launches and celebrity-driven events. Her phone buzzed constantly, emails at midnight, Zoom calls at 7 a.m. I respected the hustle. I knew what it meant to be good at your job, what it meant to sacrifice normalcy for excellence. I'd done it my whole adult life. So when she said, "I just need a little more time in the city," I believed her. But then the little things started. The way she used to text me all the time, updates, photos, dumb memes, started turning into one-word replies or radio silence. I'd send her a "miss you," and she'd heart it but not respond. Small, maybe, but when a woman who used to call you just to hear your voice doesn't even bother anymore, you feel it. She stopped sleeping curled into me. I'd reach for her in bed and find cold sheets. She started facing the other way more often. One night I asked, "You good?" And she said, "Just tired." But it wasn't the kind of tired that came from work. It was the kind that came from disconnection. I tried not to overthink it. Hell, most of my life had taught me to endure first, ask questions later, so I let it ride. Told myself it was a phase. Maybe I was being needy. Maybe I'd gone soft. But deep down, my gut, that damn Marine gut instinct was sounding alarms. There were nights she didn't come home, said she was staying in Dallas for early meetings. She started keeping a bag packed, always by the door. Not a problem at first, but eventually I noticed it was packed different, like she was prepping for a getaway, not a business trip. She started wearing lingerie I hadn't seen her in, and not for me. The real shift happened during one of her conferences. She told me she was flying out to Austin for 2 nights. I didn't think much of it. Her job always pulled her across Texas. But when she came back, she was distant in a different way. Not cold, just careful. Every word felt measured, every move rehearsed, like she was playing a version of herself that she thought I wanted. I asked, "How was the hotel?" She blinked a second too long. "It was fine, nothing special." That line sat with me. Kara usually told stories, complained about breakfast, gossiped about coworkers. This time she offered nothing, emptiness, like she didn't want to remember it. A few days later, I went to grab something from her coat pocket before work. She always kept pepper spray in there. My hand brushed something plastic. I pulled it out. A hotel keycard. Black, with the name of Drayton Suites, Austin. Not the chain she said she stayed at. Not even close. I stared at it for a long time. No rush of anger, no outburst. Just that creeping numbness in my chest. The kind you get when you realize something you love is about to become a memory. I didn't confront her, not yet. I slipped the card back into her coat like I hadn't seen it. Said nothing. If there's one thing the Marines taught me, it's that you never go in blind. You gather intel first. I spent the next few days watching her, really watching her. Her patterns, her tone, her body language. The way she started locking her phone, the way she took calls in the other room, the way she stopped saying "I love you" without being prompted. It was like watching a rope unravel one thread at a time, and I knew the woman I once trusted more than anyone on this earth was hiding something big, and soon I was going to find out exactly what. I waited 5 days before I did anything. 5 long, slow days. Pretending. Smiling when she came home, asking about her day, playing the role of the clueless boyfriend. Every time she spoke, I watched her mouth like a sniper watches wind, looking for movement, signs, inconsistencies. And I saw them all. Every blink that lasted half a second too long, every breath between my question and her answer. The pauses were louder than words. Then came Friday. She packed that same small travel bag she always did, kissed me on the cheek, not the lips, and said, "I'll be back Sunday. Don't wait up." I didn't say anything. Just nodded. Watched her drive off. Waited 15 minutes. Then grabbed my keys, my old Glock, just in case, and followed. I know how to follow someone. I've done it in the dirt roads of Helmand Province, where one wrong step could get you blown sky high. Following your girlfriend down a Texas interstate? Easy. Her taillights were steady. I kept 3 cars back, switched lanes, dropped behind trucks, nothing too close. She didn't notice. She never looked in her rearview once. 2 hours later, she pulled into a parking garage behind a sleek, modern building in downtown Austin. Drayton Suites. Same name as the Keycard. A boutique hotel, upscale, quiet. The kind of place where business and pleasure blur lines. I waited in my truck. Watched her check in. She wasn't alone. He was already there. Tall, dark suit, one of those overconfident postures that screams money. He greeted her at the door like he'd been waiting, kissed her cheek. Her hand brushed his chest, and they walked in like it was just another weekend. I sat still for maybe 20 minutes, staring at the entrance like it had punched me. My hands weren't shaking. My heart wasn't racing. I wasn't furious. I was something else. Beyond angry, beyond sad, detached. Like I was outside my own body watching it unfold. My brain started doing recon. mapping out timelines, matching stories she told me with the geography of the lie. That's how Marines cope. Logistics, patterns, control. It kept the emotion from tearing me apart. I parked across the street in a coffee shop and watched the building all night. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I just sat there sipping burnt espresso, staring at the glass elevator that led to the suites. I saw them again the next morning, 8:14 a.m. They walked out together. Same clothes as the night before. Kara's hair was pulled back, lips slightly smudged. He handed the valet a tip and kissed her again. This time, not on the cheek. Full, intimate, familiar. She didn't pull away. They got into his car and left. I didn't need to. I'd seen enough. I went back to the parking garage, walked through the lobby like I belonged there, and asked the front desk, "Hey, my wife left her necklace in one of the rooms last night. I think it was 11:09. She checked. "Yes, sir. Carrot checked out of 11:09 about 30 minutes ago. Do you have ID? "She's my wife," I said again. "We share everything." She smiled politely, but I could tell she wasn't going to hand anything over. I didn't press. I'd already gotten what I came for. Confirmation. Driving home was the longest 2 hours of my life. Every mile a memory. Every gas station exit a flashback. Every time I'd kissed her forehead while she slept, every time she'd told me, "You're the only man I feel safe with," came rushing back, poisoned now, mutated into sarcasm, lies in disguise. I got home before she did. I sat in the living room, lights off, her favorite blanket across the back of the couch. I looked around at the place we'd built together. Every corner of it whispered betrayal. She walked in around 10 p.m. Sunday night, smiling like nothing happened. "Hey, babe," she said, setting her bag down. Trip was smooth, traffic was hell. I looked at her, not with rage, not with tears, just still. "Did you enjoy Drayton Suites?" She froze. A silence dropped like a bomb between us. Her eyes scanned me, fast, calculating, guilty. She didn't speak. He wore cologne, smelled like cedar and expensive decisions. You smiled when he kissed you, not like someone afraid, like someone used to it. Still, nothing. Her hands trembled slightly and she opened her mouth. "It's not what you think." The oldest lie in the book, delivered with a straight face. "No? Because I think you've been fucking him for months. I think you've been lying to me every time you said just one more trip. I think you walked out my door every week with your mouth full of goodbye and your bag full of betrayal." She started crying, but it was a weak cry. No shaking, no gasping, just strategic tears. Maybe they worked on other men, but not on a man who'd watched people die without blinking. I didn't mean for it to go that far. But it did, and now we're past meaning, we're at truth. She sat down or collapsed, hard to tell. "There's more," she whispered. And for the first time, I felt something worse than betrayal. Dread.
She didn't speak right away, just sat there on the edge of the couch, elbows on knees, palms pressed together like she was praying. Or like she was holding something in that was already rotting from the inside out. "There's more," she said again. I didn't move, didn't flinch, just stared. When a bomb's about to go off, you don't panic. You calculate. You lock your jaw and breathe slowly. I learned that in the desert. Now I was using it in my own living room. "It wasn't just him," she finally whispered. "There were others." My pulse didn't spike. My hands didn't ball into fists. All I did was blink, slowly, like a man watching the final curtain drop on a show he didn't buy tickets for. "How many?" I asked. My voice didn't crack. It came out dry, surgical. She hesitated. Her eyes darted to the floor, then to her bag, then back to me. 2, she said. Then after a breath, 3, I think. That last part, I think, made my stomach turn more than anything else. You think? You're not sure how many people you cheated with? That told me everything. She wasn't some woman who made one mistake on a drunk night at a conference. She was a woman who had learned how to live a double life. And she was damn good at hiding it until she wasn't. I stood up, slowly. Not to intimidate, not to threaten. I just needed distance. I walked into the kitchen, leaned against the counter, stared at the fridge. She followed me, but didn't get close. I could hear her breathing change, shallow, unsteady. Why? Why them? Why anyone? She didn't answer right away, just sniffed once, like she wanted to clear her nose instead of her conscience. I knew you were always so steady, strong, predictable. I knew I could count on you. But sometimes I didn't want strong. I wanted wild. I wanted attention, and I didn't know how to tell you that. She paused, looked at me, hoping I'd soften. I didn't stop loving you, Matt. I just started needing something else too. That line hit harder than anything she said before. I didn't stop loving you. The audacity. You don't get to use that word anymore. Love doesn't lie in hotel beds with someone else while your man's keeping your name clean back home. She cried harder now, sat on the floor, back against the wall like the weight of what she said finally dropped on her. Maybe it did, but I wasn't there to carry it for her. Not anymore. What do you want from me now? She voice cracked. Forgiveness? I shook my head. No. I want honesty, which I finally got. And now I want you out. She blinked at me like I'd slapped her. Out? Tonight? Yes, now. Pack a bag. I don't care where you go. To him, to the next one, to your PR team. But you don't sleep under this roof again. She stood up slowly, wobbled a bit. Please don't make this ugly. It's already ugly. You just hid the rot under perfume and nice suits. I watched her pack in silence. I didn't help. I didn't argue. I just stood by the door, arms crossed, while she stuffed pieces of her life into a suitcase like she was late for a flight. She didn't even try to hug me, just rolled her bag to the hallway, looked up one last time. I'm sorry. I really did love you. No. You loved who I was for you, but you didn't love me. And with that, I closed the door behind her. No yelling, no violence, just silence. The kind that comes after an explosion, when your ears ring and your hands stop shaking and you realize you survived. But survival doesn't mean healing. That would come later, much later.
That night, I sat in silence. No music, no TV. Just the hum of the fridge and the distant sound of someone else's car passing by the house. Her scent was still in the pillows. Her hair tie was still in the bathroom sink. But she was gone. And something heavier had left with her. The weight I didn't know I was carrying until it finally slid off my shoulders. I didn't cry. I didn't drink. I didn't rage. I just sat there, listening to the silence she left behind. The next morning, I stripped the bed, tossed the sheets in a trash bag, dumped her toothbrush, cleared her side of the closet. I didn't keep a single thing. Not because I was trying to erase her, but because she had erased herself the second she let someone else touch her and pretend it didn't count. Over the next few weeks, people started asking. Friends, a few coworkers. Where's Kara? You guys split? Everything okay? And I just gave them the short version. She cheated. I found out. She's gone. No drama, no dragging her name through the mud. Let her wreck her life on her own time. What surprised me most wasn't how easy it was to let her go. It was how hard it was to rebuild the parts of me that trusted. I didn't want to start over. I didn't want new dates, new smiles, new small talk about favorite movies and past jobs. I didn't want anyone near me for a long time. Not because I hated women, but because I finally learned the difference between being loved and being useful. Kara didn't love me. She loved how I made her feel. Safe, supported, stable. But when her life got too boring, when I wasn't chaotic enough, she went looking for sparks in other people's beds. And that's not love. That's selfishness dressed in soft kisses and fake apologies. So I focused on what I could control. I picked up extra work, volunteered at a local veteran outreach center, got back into shooting competitions. I started running again, long, punishing runs in the Texas sun, where the sweat drowned out the thoughts. And I learned how to cook for one without feeling sorry about it. I wasn't looking for healing. I was just trying to feel clean again. One night, maybe 2 months later, I found her necklace under the passenger seat of my truck. Simple silver chain. I stared at it for a minute, then threw it into the river on the way to the range. No symbolism, no goodbye ritual, just disposal. Sometimes I still think about her. Not in anger, not in pain. Just clarity. Like remembering a road you used to take until it led to a cliff, and you learned to stop turning that way. I don't need closure. I got the truth. That's all I ever wanted. Now I live alone, peacefully, quietly. And when people ask, "Don't you miss her?" I say, "No, I miss the version of her that never existed." The rest of her, she left, and I let her. Because after all I've survived, war, chaos, years of trying to rebuild myself, I finally understand something simple. Being alone isn't the worst thing. Trusting the wrong person is.